afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez and this is Newsfeed. President Bongbong Marcos is reviewing corruption and misconduct claims against Immigration Commissioner Joel Anthony Viado. However, he says it's difficult to act on the allegations as they lack details. Immigration employees earlier sent a letter to Marcos alleging that Viado interfered in deportation cases and revealed his supposed protection of certain foreign nationals involved in illegal activities.
Mahirap mapag-aralan ng mabuti kung white paper na hindi pinirmahan at saka walang specifics. But nonetheless, everything like this, we look into it.
Viado has denied the allegations and says he welcomes any investigation. If there is nothing to hide, there is nothing to fear. That reminder from the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines as it urges senators to allow the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte to proceed without obstruction. CBCP President Pablo Virgilio Cardinal David says to delay, dismiss, or ignore such a process for reasons of political convenience is to betray the Constitution and the people's trust. He adds public officials must transcend partisan interests and act in a spirit of justice and truth. David stresses the search for truth is not a political agenda, but a moral imperative. Send in the Marines. The Pentagon is deploying 700 Marines from Camp Pendleton to quell the protests against immigration raids in Los Angeles. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth asserts order needs to be restored. Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell also says an additional 2,000 National Guard troops will also be mobilized as riots in America's second biggest city enter a fourth day. LA officials have pushed back against the deployment and are blaming the Trump administration's intervention for the chaos.
We didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do? Do you know what the National Guard is doing now? They are guarding two buildings. They're guarding the federal building here in downtown, and they're guarding the federal building in Westwood. That's what they're doing. So they need Marines on top of it? I don't understand that. And it makes me feel like our city is actually a test case for what happens when the federal government moves in and takes the authority away from the state or away from local government. I don't think that our city should be used for an experiment to see what happens in the nation's second largest city. Well, maybe we can do this to other cities. I can't emphasize enough the level of fear and terror that is in Angelenos right now, not knowing if tomorrow or tonight it might be where they live, it might be their workplace. Should you send your kids to school? Should you go to work?
California is taking President Donald Trump to court over his deployment of the National Guard to Los Angeles. The state's Attorney General Rob Bonta calls the president's action unlawful.
This is a law that requires the governor's consent to activate the National Guard. This is the first time since 1965 that a president has activated the National Guard without a request from the state's governor. And the governor of California knows how to call in the National Guard if and when it's needed. He did it with the LA fires. He did it in the summer of 2020 with some of the protests in California. So this is something that is within Governor Newsom's sovereignty, and he did not authorize the use of the National Guard here, did not call for it.
LA officials have said the protest had been peaceful until Trump got involved. But Trump isn't backing down and put the blame on Governor Newsom.
We have an incompetent governor, so I talked about governors, but I didn't talk about he's an incompetent governor. Look at the job he's doing in California. He's destroying one of our great states. And if I didn't get involved, if we didn't bring the Guard in, and we would bring more in if we needed it, because we have to make sure there's going to be law and order.
Added entertainment, 2 more BTS members are discharged from the military following a mandatory service. RM and V were welcomed by cheering fans at Chuncheon, Gangwon Province. They joined J-Hope and Jin, who wrapped up their military service earlier. The three other members, Suga, Jimin, and Jungkook, will also be released later this month. BTS has been on hiatus since 2022, and fans are now expecting a reunion. The band's management is planning a huge event called BTS Festa this week to celebrate the K-pop superstar's 12th anniversary. And that's the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on the Billionaire News Channel.